Lead with a Love Literacy Workshop. Yes, that's right. That's what I'm going to be talking about in this episode. I'm going to be giving you all a little sneak preview into what our participants here in Cleveland are going to be getting starting next Saturday. This episode you do not want to miss. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Reading Talk. I am your most gracious host, Ms. Sasha. And with Real Reading Talk, I discuss the real systemic issues that are at the very core, the very foundation, as to why we have high levels of illiteracy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together, y'all. Oh my goodness. Welcome, welcome. I am so excited. I am so happy to be here. I love talking to you all, okay? And I am just so appreciative for my newbies, for those of you who are just started listening. You start listening on the different podcast platforms, or you have went to YouTube and you went and subscribed to the YouTube channel. And make sure you stop right now, hit that like button, and make sure that you subscribe as well, and hit the notification bell too, okay? So I appreciate you guys. And of course, my old heads, y'all know I appreciate you all rocking with me. I say that all the time because when you are thanking the people, you are thanking God, okay? Always. So always remember that. So always stay in constant appreciation. So with that being said, this episode is dedicated to speaking to you all about our very first Lead with Love literacy workshop. So for those of you who don't know my background and you just kind of maybe stumbled across the podcast, I have to reintroduce myself. So I started an organization called ABC Read 10 years ago. ABC Read is a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to developing and nurturing a culture of literacy in Black and underserved communities. And we have been doing this by one of the first things is distributing books that majority represents Black people, culture, and experiences here in America and across the globe. And these books are for children, adults, everybody, okay? So they're for everyone. At first, when we first started, we were focused just on the kids. But then we realized that we just can't give children books, and then when they're going home, they're not seeing an example of their parents and caregivers reading. Because unfortunately, in the communities that we serve, that is one of the sad statistics that we see. A lot of times our kids are not seeing the adults in the community reading. And so this is when we added the component the next year and said, okay, you know what? We need to make sure that we're getting books for adults as well. We also are known throughout the city of Cleveland having some really dope and amazing reading events. All right, we call them reading events, or you can call them like a reading program, but it's an actual experience. So these reading events are replete with dope literacy activities, games. We are always having engaging conversations. All of those things are happening inside of our ABC Read events. We also make sure that we're providing healthy foods because we understand the importance of connecting the healthy eating to gaining information and also being able to retain the information and having a better attitude, a better mood. All of these different things play a part in being able to thrive, right? And then we also have dope speakers. We have phenomenal, fantastic, amazing, spectacular Black professionals come and speak to our participants. When we have, for example, like when we have our Bye-Bye Summer Slide reading camps. And those reading camps, even though they're focused on getting our children to be able to not fall back in their reading, because that's something that happens in the summertime. That's why it's called Bye-Bye Summer Slide. The summer slide is what happens when our children's reading levels tend to go down, as if like you're going on a sliding board in the summer, because they're not used to having a lot of books in their homes. They're not used to having or being exposed to a lot of different enriching activities or having a lot of cultural experiences. These are things that is lacking, especially when you're talking about communities that are low income or they're impoverished communities, food deserts, communities where they don't have that access a lot of times to that healthy foods, just like a lot of communities, that again, that are living, these people that live in these communities, they have to go a few miles to go to a place where they can get healthy foods. Okay, those things were done on purpose. That's why when you go into the hood, you're usually going to see the McDonald's, the Burger Kings, the Taco Bells. You're going to see your liquor stores. All of that stuff was done on purpose. Trust me, it's not that, people are like, oh yeah, we're just going to happen to just build these stores just in this neighborhood. No, it was done intentionally. Okay, just like the fact of why we see these high levels of illiteracy in the Black community, that was done intentionally. I mean, that stuff goes all the way back into slavery, right? This is one of the main reasons why our ancestors were able to be enslaved, okay? You deny folks the right to be educated. That's a God-given right. That's something we're supposed to be educated. With that is something nobody's supposed to control that. Nobody's supposed to tell you that, put that book down. I better not catch you reading or you're gonna die. I'm gonna cut your limbs off. I'm gonna gouge your eyes out. Well, guess what? That stuff really did happen to our people. Even though our people come from a society of literacy. Majority of those Africans were taken from West Africa, and those West Africans, you're talking about folks who came from civilizations like the Songhai Empire. You're talking about Mali Empire. You're talking about Askia Muhammad, Mansa Musa, Sundiata Ali, the Library of Timbuktu, Sankore University, all of these different things. This is what our people came from. They was already builders. They were already understanding how to farm, all of this stuff. So this is why you have this devilish white supremacists came in. They understood that, okay? They knew they was taking the best of the best. Trust, all right? So again, all of this is intertwined. Like I said, these are the things, it's the kind of knowledge that we are always giving our community members when we have our reading events, okay? This is what ABC Read is about. So we decided to have our very first free literacy workshop. Now, this workshop is going to be dedicated to empowering our parents and caregivers. And so we are going to have 10 participants. And our goal is to have 4 sessions in the workshop. We already have our rooms reserved at the library, so we are already set to go. We got the books, and I'm going to show you guys the books in a minute. But I just wanted to share with you guys one of the main reasons as to why we decided to call it Lead with Love. And we wanted to call it Lead with Love is because in the Black community, when it comes to trying to empower our youth in particular, a lot of times they're met with harshness. They're met with being condemned. They're met with all of these negative things that can happen and to them if they're not reading or if they're not handling their business when it comes to school. Think about it. How many times have we heard a parent, and I'm just keeping it a buck, a lot of times we hear our Black mothers, and I was one of those Black mothers who did this, unfortunately, where we going off on our kids when they're supposed to be, when it comes to their work. Or the first thing that we say is when we know it's open house, yeah, I better not hear nothing bad. I better not hear no bad report. If I do, you gonna get it. How many times have we heard that? Or we've seen, that parent come up there to the school, they ready. They got the switch in hand, they got the belt, they ready to embarrass you when it comes to, whatever. They like, listen, I hear something, they ready right on deck, right? These are things that have been normalized in our communities to the point to where you got comedians making jokes about it. You got skits now. You go on IG, folks doing skits. You got that Black dude dressed up like that Black mama. He got the bonnet on his head. He got the robe on, and then he going on. These are things that has been normalized. And we laugh about it. We see the people, but honestly, we laughing, a lot of us, because we trying to keep from crying. We trying to keep from going insane. And so we decided, we said, you know what? We need to change the narrative. We need to start with the narrative of we are going to empower our community by saying we need to lead with love, with grace, with compassion, with mercy. all of these things that God, and as y'all know, I say Allah as well, because Allah is just Arabic for one God. These are the attributes that Allah shows us as human beings. But we choose, as Black folks, a lot of times, we go straight into oppress mode when it comes to our babies. We go straight into, I'm about to go off. You ain't gonna embarrass me. You better read this book. You better write that sentence. You better do that homework right. If you don't, it's on. We need to stop all that ish. Flat out. We need to stop it. Because all we're doing is just creating either that child is going to freeze up and they're not going to do anything at all because they're just afraid, or they're not going to do anything. That's their way of rebelling. And then unfortunately, that rebelling is met with what? More force. You get more angry. Now you want to knock them upside the head. Now you want to yank them up. All of these different things. These are things that we've normalized in our communities. And so this is why we said we need to change that. So that's why we call it the Lead with Love Literacy Workshop. And guess what? Our first session is entitled Love Yourself First. Because a big part of the reason why we wind up going off, we behave like that in our communities, and we think that's okay, it starts with ourselves. It starts with how we view ourselves. Whether it's we were done like that by our parents, which in a lot of cases, most cases, that's what it was. Our parents dealt with us like that. Our mothers, she was stressed out, had to take care of a lot of stuff, because we still have this daunting statistic of, I think it's like maybe about 70% still of Black households are led by women. Now, of course, you know, I'm not taking into account, you know, you may have, you know, a lot of those women may have been married and then they wound up being divorced, whatever the case may be. The point is that a lot of these households still, to this day in the Black community, are led by women. And a lot of times they're taking care of the brunt of the responsibility, everything. So they are not only having to go to work or run their business, then they have to make sure that their kids have the things that they need. And they still have to take care of everything. But what happens to yourself? What happens to yourself if you're taking care of everybody else? You handling this, you handling that, you doing this, you got to run here. A lot of folks got 2 jobs, so you don't have time to pour into yourself. You don't have time to make sure that you're taken care of. Well, guess what? That's going to affect that child. That's when you're going to see that child not really maximizing their abilities. That's when we're not going to be able to get the best out of that child, because we are parenting them in a way where we're coming from a negative space, a stressful space, a traumatized space. This is where we're coming from. All of that is being poured into that child. But, you know, when you have a community, when we have our kids in these schools, rather, and then you got that teacher, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a white woman, because majority of the classrooms are white women led. They're going to come when you had an open house. Miss Schlissenheimer, she's going to talk about how little Ahmad, how he's not focused, how he's playing around, he's the jokester, he's not doing what he's supposed to do. And you are fuming because you know that you got 2 jobs. And I'm talking, and this again, I'm talking to my mothers and my fathers, but I am thinking about, when I'm thinking about the image, the avatar that I'm creating, I'm thinking about our Black mothers, because it's majority of the Black mothers that I see who are going up to the schools. And then they got to hear these messages from this white teacher about why little Ahmad his reading level. He's in 3rd grade, but he's still reading on a 1st grade level. And you mad, you frustrated. And you like, what? And so out of your frustration, which that doesn't mean you don't love your child, but you're so frustrated, you're so angry because you're like, you're doing all of these different things to make sure that the family is taken care of. And now you got to hear this message from his teacher. These are the things that we are used to seeing and having in our communities. And this is why we said, as an organization, as ABC Read, we were like, you know what? We need to do more of empowering our parents and our caregivers. We need to load them up with a powerful arsenal so that they can understand that, number one, you're their first educator. You don't have to rely on somebody else to educate your child. You are their first educator. You have the power and the ability. You don't have to have no degrees. I don't care if you didn't graduate from high school. So I don't care. And if you as a mother or father and you're listening and you are struggling with reading yourself, you can actually get that help too. I want you to make sure that you're getting that help. Don't be embarrassed. Say, you know what, certain things I didn't get, now I can go get it, because trust and believe, one thing I know about our people, even though I don't care what socioeconomic group that we come from, I'm talking to my folks who understand what it means to want more. That's who I'm talking to. Okay. I ain't talking to somebody who they like, man, F all that. I ain't talking to them. Hopefully they'll come along. I'm talking about those who care. Those who care, whether they come from, whether they living in the projects or whether they living somewhere in the suburbs. One thing I can say about our people when it comes to our babies being educated, oh no, we don't play about that. We want our babies to be educated. But the point that we're making, and the point we want to drive home with the literacy workshop, is that we want to change the mindset though. We want to be able to start now imparting more of that compassion, that love, that mercy when we are educating our children. So that's why we said we want to start with loving yourself first, because we understand a lot of times we're parenting from a place of pain, frustration, and stress. And so we want to be able to give empowering tools to be able to show how we can help to decompress ourselves. We can help to talk to ourselves in a way, and knowing that we love ourselves first. We value who we are. We are worthy. We are special. We are brilliant. We are beautiful. We are educated. We are wealthy. We are worthy. And so when you come from that mindset and that space, regardless of what your situation is, now you can pour back into your baby. And that leads us to our second session, which is loving on your babies. And I pretty much, talked about that just like in my explanation of these are the things in which we have to do. When we are loving ourselves, now we can what? We can give love. Because remember, people are only going to give you what they have. They're only going to show you what they got. So when you have that parent who's they going off, that's them just showing this is what they feel about themselves. This is how they view themselves. But that's why we're starting with loving yourself first, then love on your babies. So we're going to be giving some actual examples. We're going to be showing demonstrations of how you can actually show more love on your babies. For example, when we are trying to have our children, when they have a homework assignment, right? And say they're frustrated. Say they're not getting it, they're not producing. That's not the time to start now with the threats. You don't do this, you're gonna go to jail. You want to be in jail like so-and-so? You want to be out in the streets? That's not the time to do that. Okay. Especially when you see them frustrated. No, the time then, that's when you say, okay, you know what? Let's put the work down. And let's step away from the work. Let's go outside and let's take a walk together. let's go throw the football together. Let's y'all get some bubbles. Let's blow bubbles together. Do something that's going to take that child in a place to where now they feel safe, they feel loved, and they feel understood. Because remember, kids, just like how when we was kids, they're just little human beings. Okay, just like we're human, we're the bigger human beings, they're the little human beings. That's it. Just like we got thoughts and feelings, and we get times we frustrated, we mad, we stressed, and oh my God, I can't. We don't want nobody over our heads sitting up there like, what? What, you ain't doing that? No, we don't want nobody doing that to us, but we can't do that to them. Am I saying it's not going to be a time where you can't, that you're not going to have to discipline your child? Meaning, for example, you might have to take a device away because you see them not handling their business. You got to say, okay, you know what? You're not going to be able to play on that PlayStation. So of course, I'm not saying, yeah, you got to set boundaries, but what I am not going to tell you to do is to start go off on your kids. Start yelling in their ear, all up in their face. What's wrong with you? I'm gonna come up to that school and I'm gonna purge you. And then some folks now, they want to, when they going off on their kids, they want to have a camera so they can be IG ready. See, this is what I had to tell this little mother, you know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna mess up in school. He better not. She ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna yank them braids out of her head. This is real stuff. Y'all know, y'all seen it. I've seen it. I can't stand looking at it. It bothers my soul. So I don't watch it. I don't indulge in that. Like I said, I'm coming from a place where I know I can relate. I can relate. Not only was I parented in that way to a certain degree, that was the parenting of choice that I took as well with my older children. And that right there, I'm telling you right now, the results are not favorable. I don't care if you got that person, they'll talk about how, yeah, I used to get beaten and embarrassed, but I wound up becoming a lawyer. I became a doctor. I became an engineer. Yeah, but just like Dr. Joy DeGruy has said plenty of times, you became those things in spite of, not because of the ass whippings, okay? Trust and believe. Number 3, the third session is cultivating a culture of literacy that stems from love. So first, loving yourself, loving on your babies, and now you're creating that atmosphere, that culture in your home that's filled with love, and linking that to having a beautiful literacy environment. So again, what does that look like? You can get real creative with this, y'all. You can create a space where, say, have like a little reading space. You can call it the reading hub, the reading corner, the reading spot, whatever you want to call it. Get it real comfy and cozy, got the little nice carpet going, got the pillows, got the nice bookshelf going, okay? Have all of that, create that space so that your child can see that, okay, literacy is important here. Reading is important here. My parents, they value this here. They ain't just talking to talk. It ain't just about, okay, I have to learn how to read so I can pass the test and so I don't go to jail or end up getting the EBT card. It ain't about that. Reading should be equated with pleasure. It should be equated with empowerment. It should be equated with freedom. Meaning that we can, the moment that we learn how to read, the moment that we are reading all the time and gaining that knowledge, can't nobody stop us. Ain't no limits the moment that we start reading. And the more, because it's more than just, because you got folks who are illiterate, then you have those who are illiterate. Illiteracy are those who cannot read or write. Illiterate is those who choose not to read. And we're starting to have more of a community of that. You got somebody, yeah, they know how to read, but then they're like, I ain't read a book in a minute. You know, they may have graduated from college or graduated from high school. They're like, please, I ain't reading. I'm done. I did my reading for the, you know, for my lifetime. I mean, just craziness. I mean, I remember there were times we're giving out books in the community, and there'll be some adults. They'll be like, "Oh no, I don't read. I don't want no book." I'm like, I start to have convulsions. I'm like, what? I ain't reading. Huh? Like, no, 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 no. And full disclosure, I didn't grow up reading. I didn't grow up seeing my parents read. I didn't grow up in a culture of literacy. All these things I'm telling y'all about, I did not grow up having. And that's the thing you find when folks who wind up starting stuff, they whether it's an organization or a business, they started it due to the fact because these were things that they were lacking or they did not have. Okay, so that's just a little tidbit, right? So those of you who are thinking about, whatever kind of business or whatever the case may be, usually that stuff happens because they're like, I didn't have that. I didn't grow up with that. I wish I had that. That would have been dope. Because trust, majority of folks who have told you they grew up in that kind of space where literacy, that was just like second nature. It was like, what? Like books was everywhere, like literally in all of parts of our room. When you have folks who grew up like that, they'll tell you that they were so happy that they were raised in that way. Now, maybe at the time, it may have been times where they were told they had to read and they're like, I don't feel like reading. I want to go outside or whatever. Okay, that's fine. What kid, most kids are going to be like, man, look, give me some ice cream, candy, popsicles, and then I want to go play. I'm good. But it's our job as adults to guide them into what is correct. Okay. So, and then the last part, the last session is going to be called Spreading the Love of Literacy. So our intention is to create what we're calling literacy ambassadors. So we want this small group, because that's 10 folks, that's a small group, right? We want them to take this knowledge that they're getting and we want them to share it with the community. We want them to talk about the books that they received, which let me show you right now. This is one of the books that they're going to be getting, okay? Because the information that we're going to be giving at the workshop is going to come from this book, one of these 3 books, okay? Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, America's Legacy of Enduring Injury and Healing by Dr. Joy DeGruy. Y'all already know what it is. Those who've been rocking with me, y'all know good and doggone well. I'm going to quote from this lady here, okay? I'm going to make sure she gets her props because she has done an excellent job of literally researching why Black folks, we do a lot of the different things that we do that is damaging. And it comes from, again, that slave syndrome. All right. So we're going to be discussing this book and they're going to get a copy of this book. All right. So we're building their arsenal. The next book they're going to be getting, and they can go into the community and spreading information about these different books and the different tools and things that they've gotten. Spare the Kids While Whooping Children Won't Save Black America. Again, like I talked about in the beginning of this podcast, right? We need to get rid of that mentality of thinking that our kids are always supposed to be met with some type of brute force. They're always supposed to be condemned, dogged out. You go off on them kids. That's how Black kids are. That's all they respect. Is it because we actually gotten them used to that? Could that be possible? When you have somebody, when you're always giving somebody a particular thing, whether it's good or bad, that means they get used to it. And that's what they're going to what? They're going to expect that. So if you're not giving them good and you're always going off on them, and then they get used to being going off on, when you decide not to go off on them, you know what they're going to wind up doing? They're going to wind up doing negative things so that you can go off on them because they've gotten used to being going off on. They're like, okay, thank you. Now you put me back in my zone. I want you to yell at me. I want you to beat me. I want you to be in my face. I want you to dog me out. I want you to talk about you're going to knock the Black off me. I want you to talk about how you're going to knock me into next week. You're going to beat me till you see the white meat. I want you to say all that. Beat me, please. I don't know nothing else. That's how they're going to start behaving. And that's what our intention, inshallah, God willing, we are changing with this workshop. And then the last book, Awakening the Natural Genius of Black Children. Come on, y'all. Come on. Y'all know I got powerhouse books up in here, written by Black folks who don't play. Dr. Amos Wilson, I implore you to go look up this brother here. Plenty of videos of him lecturing on how our Black children, they have a genius that has to be nurtured. It has to be brought out. But in order for us to do that, we have to go back to the first workshop, which is what? We got to love ourselves. But in order to show yourself love, you got to know who you are. You got to know where you came from, right? You got to understand, I come from greatness. Like, and I'm not just saying that, it's cliche. I come from greatness. I come from kings and queens. You're not just saying, no, you saying it like you mean it. And you can start naming some kings and queens. You can like, yes, I know about Mansa Musa and Queen Hatshepsut and Queen Amina and Sundiata Ali and Askia Muhammad. You gonna start spouting out, and people like, dang, Queen Nzinga, dang, yeah. I come from them. Folks who didn't play that ish. They was about empowerment. They were about defending their kingdoms and queendoms. And that's what we on. So this is what the Lead with Love Literacy Workshop is about. Okay. So with that being said, y'all, a sister is done. So I hope you all gained knowledge. I hope you all got insight into our workshop. And of course, we're going to be posting. I'm going to be doing snippets of the different things that we're going to be doing in there. I'm going to be posting those to give you guys some insights into the workshop. And I'm just super excited. It starts next Saturday, inshallah, God willing. And I am just super duper duper pumped. And yeah, so, and I'm looking forward to the participants. So prayerfully it be filled up, because we can have 10 and we want all 10 folks, because I already got 10 of these, 10 of these, and still waiting for these 10 of these, okay? Because they gonna go home with that and, and some other goodies. I mean, it's on and popping, you know what I'm saying? All right, y'all, let me get out of here. I'm super, super pumped, as you all can see. And just remember again to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. And of course, as y'all know, reading is freedom. Peace. Well, again, I hope that you all gain benefit from that episode. As you all know, for those of you who are new here, yes, I get pumped when it comes to talking about our Black folks reading and being empowered, learning about our history. And I know I can do it in an animated way, and I love it. That's been me as a kid, okay? Just miss animation. So I hope you all enjoyed that. And now let me just give you all do some housekeeping real quick. If you all are looking for a pre-K through 4th grade reading tutor, please check out my website, abclearntutoring.com. I have over 17 years of reading tutoring experience, and I am also an Orton Gillingham certified dyslexia tutor. So if your child is struggling due to dyslexia, please reach out to me by going to my website, abclearntutoring.com, and sign up for their free reading assessment today. I tutor in person as well as online. So yes, you across the globe, you can holler at a sister, okay? And I also talked to you already about our nonprofit organization, ABC Read. So I'm just going to simply tell you to go to our website, abcread.org. And then also make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom. Make sure you leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell, all of that, okay? And then finally, Reading is Freedom. As you all see the mug back there, you see the merch. Yes, I created the brand Reading is Freedom because I always want you to know that literacy is linked to our liberation, okay? We should always be on a mission to be liberated from a society that was intended upon dehumanizing our people. Okay, so make sure you go to my website, readingisfreedom.store. Cop your merch, get your mug, get your sweatshirt. It's about to be cold because we're about to go into my favorite season, which is the fall. And so I want y'all to be dope. Okay, I want y'all to be spreading the word. You all are going to be literacy ambassadors. You know how you're going to do that? Because when you have on this merch and people see that, just like people have asked me when they've seen my shirts on and they said, so what book are you reading? I'm like, okay, that's the kind of conversations I love to have. All right. And you can have those too. just go and copy a shirt so you can start talking about the importance of why we need to be reading all the time. All right. And with that being said, I'm going to end with my quote. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first. Author unknown. I saw this quote on LinkedIn, and I just did a screenshot, and I said, you know what? I said, that's the quote that I want to we're going to start with when we have our very first Lead with Love Literacy workshop. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Real Reading Talk. Again, Real Reading Talk is the podcast in which we discuss the real systemic issues at the very core, the very foundation, as to why we have low levels of literacy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. I thank you all for listening. And remember to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. Reading is freedom. Peace.